Hey YouTube, today we are looking at some 10 scary things seen under a microscope. Let's get it.
Terrifying up close. Number 10. Phantom Midge Larva. With a mostly transparent body, the phantom midge larva is a vicious predator that uses its whisker-like mouth parts to send food right into its mouth. When they attack, they send their strange whisker-like mouth parts straight out in front of them to catch their prey. They eat other larvae, namely mosquito larvae, as well as copepods, which are small crustaceans. To escape being hunted themselves, they lurk low in the water where the oxygen is scarce. They are also known as worms, given their transparency. The only part of the larva that can really be seen are its air sacs, which appear as black dots under a microscope, as well as their eyes. Number 9. Hydrothermal vent worm. These creepy worms are so tiny, they can't be seen with the naked eye. They live around hydrothermal vents at the very bottom of the ocean.
In heaven, this little girl came up to me. She told me she died in your tummy.
When viewed under a microscope, these terrifying worms look like something right out of a science fiction movie. With a beak-like mouth lined in razor-sharp teeth and pointy horns all along the edge of their heads, these microscopic monsters look like they shouldn't even exist here on Earth.
It's strange, don't it?
Number 8. Mayfly Larva. Few microscopic monsters rival the Mayfly Larva appearance. This crazy-looking larva lives in fresh water, and it sports a number of creepy, tentacle-like legs. It also has compound black eyes that lurk just behind its long and scale-like antennae. They grow up to be mayflies, which are not that scary themselves, but these pesky flies start out as little creepy crawling, terrifying mini monsters. Before we move on, be sure to subscribe to Daily Top 10s with notifications on so you don't miss any of our videos. Number 7. Common blue butterfly larva. Butterflies burst from their cocoons and spread their beautiful wings to the delight of many. But the common blue butterfly does not have beautiful beginnings. The common blue butterfly larva, or Poliomatus icarus, is a strange and scary-looking creature when seen up close. The larva has microscopic claws that it uses to feed, and it's covered in thin and pointy that sprout from its colored flesh. Number 6. The sandfly is a well-known nuisance in tropical regions where it burrows in the sand, waiting for something living to come by so it can latch on and feed off its blood. Sandflies are known for carrying a parasite called leishmaniasis, which can make you very sick if not treated. But sandflies are so small, most people don't even know they've been bitten until symptoms occur. Up close, they look like most flies, but under a microscope, their true terror is revealed, as this tiny monster is covered in terrifying tiny hairs that give the fly an unworldly appearance. Number 5. The Human Flea. Equipped with mouth parts that pierce human flesh, the human flea is terrifying when seen up close. It feasts on blood, and to make sure that its blood supply keeps flowing, the human flea has a built-in anticoagulant in its saliva to stop the blood it seeks from clotting while it feasts. This awful flea was once called the house flea, but since it is not restricted to houses, its name has been changed to the human flea. The human flea lives on all sorts of animals, but is most commonly known for living on rats, dogs, and cats. The human flea averages a microscopic 4 millimeters in length, but don't let its tiny size fool you. The mouth and teeth of the human flea are able to easily pierce the flesh of its host. If bitten, this tiny terror causes itching and even hair loss in the area surrounding the bite. It can also carry bacteria. In fact, the human flea was the culprit for the death of millions during the Middle Ages. The human flea carried the bacterium that caused the plague. Number 4. common house dust mite. Dust is very common, and with dust comes the common house.
That's funny.
House dust mite. The common house dust mite is a microscopic mite that lives in all areas of the house. In fact, it is estimated that there are upwards of hundreds of thousands of these tiny critters living in an average home at any given time. They are most commonly found on bed sheets, blankets, carpets, and couches, and they reproduce at an alarming rate. The common house dust mite can live for about 100 days, and it lays around 60 eggs in the last 5 weeks of its life. As such, it is extremely hard to get rid of, which is why it is so common. And even grosser than its abundance, the common house dust mite feeds on flakes of skin from both humans and animals. Although, if there are no flakes of skin around, it will settle for tiny pieces of mold from time to time. Dust mites don't have a lot of predators. Their natural predators are other allergenic mites. Pseudodust mite is extremely small, so it's unlikely that you will see them crawling around in your bed. But that's actually a good thing, because when the common house dust mite is magnified, it's a grotesque and terrifying sight. Number 3. Straw edge mite. Lurking in oat hay fields is a terrifying little mite called the straw edge mite. The straw edge mite is extremely small, at only 1/125 inches long. The mite is white to translucent in color, and it devours other small insects and mites found in fields and hay bales. The straw edge mite is considered a pest, especially at the peak of summer when it thrives. People who handle hay that the mite calls home will often find themselves bitten by the tiny mite. The mite is quick to attack any human and animal it comes across, and while some people do not experience anything from a straw edge mite, when viewed up close, the straw edge mite is a really creepy critter with an oval-shaped body and stumpy legs. It has random hairs protruding from its body, and it does not look like something anyone would want hiding in their hay. But the straw edge mite is there, lurking between the straws of hay, just waiting for its next victim. Number 2. Hookworm. Hookworms are a parasite that can cause a number of serious illnesses, including abdominal pain, rashes, diarrhea, and anemia. The eggs are spread through fecal matter and attached to the skin. Some types of hookworms can also be spread through food. Hookworms are most common in humid places with poor sanitation. To ascertain whether or not someone is infected by a hookworm, a stool sample is viewed under a microscope. The microscope will reveal if the parasite is present in the person's body. If someone has been infected, then medication is prescribed to rid the infected person of the worm. Now, being infected by a parasitic worm is terrifying enough, but a hookworm under a microscope is a sight that is hard to forget. The hookworm's elongated body is what you might expect of a worm, but the head is not something you would expect to find on this planet. The hookworm's head, with its gaping mouth and sharp teeth, is one of the most frightening microscopic monsters around. Its teeth are actually called cutting plates, as they literally cut through the flesh they find. And the fact that this terrifying parasite can actually live inside someone's body is almost too much to comprehend. Number 1. Mosquito Larva. Scientifically called Aedes aegypti, mosquito larva grows up to be an equally terrifying non-microscopic insect that carries equally terrifying diseases, including dengue fever, Zika virus, encephalitis, and malaria. There are actually more than 3,500 species of mosquitoes, and they are widespread all around the world. It is only the female mosquitoes that bite because she needs the protein from the blood to nourish her eggs. Despite some common beliefs, mosquitoes don't have teeth. Instead, they have a pointed part of their mouth called a proboscis. This proboscis is serrated, so it can pierce through skin and find the capillary. From there, the mosquito uses 2 tubes to draw the blood up into its body. Mosquitoes can lay up to 300 eggs at a time, and clusters of their eggs are called rafts. 300? And while a mosquito magnifies is a pretty terrifying sight, it's really what lays within the rafts that is the most terrifying. Mosquito larva, when somewhat magnified, looks like a slender worm. But when the larvae are really magnified, the true terror of this minuscule creature is revealed. It is completely ghastly in appearance, bringing to mind an evil beast from another world. And although the larva can barely be seen by the naked eye, one look at a magnified mosquito larva and you'll be very thankful that it's as small as it is. Still, the fact that something this terrifying is so incredibly common, and that it grows up to be an equally ugly insect, makes mosquito larva a double threat, and the uncontested winner of this list of 10 things that look terrifying up close.
Interesting. That was creepy. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. Because I sure did.